know shit about boxing.
Hi there and welcome to episode 18 of You Don't Know Shit About Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by my amazing co-host,
I'll take that.
Miss Georgia Banks.
Nice to see you.
How you doing, Georgia?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Good.
Just fresh back from Abu Dhabi.
It's all right for some, isn't it? I've been sitting here in the cold, in the wet, in the rain.
Yeah. Well, I did ask if
There we
they'd
go.
let you come out, but
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. You're right. But I was thinking of you.
Thank you.
While I was on the roller coaster.
Shitting your pants.
Yeah, thinking I was about to die. I thought Georgia would have to do the podcast on her own from now on. There's lots to talk about this week, including the return, if you want to call it that, of the legendary Ricky Hatton, who will be taking part in an exhibition fight on Saturday against Marco Antonio Barrera. But before we get into all of that, we have a very special guest.
You've been waiting for him to do that all the time. Hello. Welcome.
No, thank you. Good to be here.
Good to see you. Well, I guess good starting point. What's going on with you? You helping out in Joe Gallagher's gym, I believe.
Yeah,
your old trainer.
Keeping busy. Still in and around the boxing. Helping, like I say, I'm in Joe's now. Working under him and helping him train the fighters, and it's something that I'm thoroughly enjoying.
You've been kind of prepared by Joe to do that for a while, hadn't you? Like taking your coaching license or whatever, handing up in the corner while you were still fighting.
Yeah, well, obviously when I was still fighting, training with him, I think it was quite early on. I got my seconds license, so we used to always be in the corners for the other lads, always handing up, and then just. And he used to have us in doing that because obviously learning from obviously when he's speaking to the fighters and what he's trying to get across. So then obviously when I was fighting, I'd understand more what he's trying to say and where he's coming from and what he's seen from the outside, than what we would be seeing in there, and we'd be able to see what he would see from outside of the ring. So it gives you a better understanding, and like I say, it's something that I enjoy, and I couldn't ask for anyone better to be learning from and guided.
What's it like kind of working with fighters who are older than you? Like you're quite young to retire. You're only 34 now, and you've got like Tasha Jonas, I think she's a bit older. Paul Butler's probably around the same age. What's that like?
It's obviously, first of all, you got to have whoever you're training, whoever you're coaching, they've got to have respect for you. And obviously because of what I've done and what I've achieved and the way I dedicated my life to the sport, so I've always been respected in that way. And so anything that I do put across and what I do say, it's recepted by them well. And like I say, it's good. And being in and around the gym, obviously with Joe, and getting Joe's feedback on what I'm saying, in him giving me the advice and being in and around it, it's good. And like I say, I don't feel, like I said, Natasha's older than me. She's achieved amazing things, and it's good being able to work with her and being able to put an input in it, and it being a positive effect on her improving again as well.
How's she looking for Saturday?
She's looking very good.
Yeah.
Again, she's getting better with age. It's more of the more experience she's getting, obviously all the tools that she's had, the ability and the talent's always been there. But the older she's getting, the more experience she's getting. She's just using her tools and using what she has the most effective way. And you see that in her last couple of performances, she's getting better.
And on a similar note, how's Paul Butler looking ahead of a huge task against the monster Naoya Inoue out in Japan?
Yeah, I mean, Paul's like me, He's in the gym all the time. He's dedicated. He couldn't be putting any more work in. Like I say, he lives a life, Paul. And so as you just said, his nickname's the Monster. And we know the challenge Paul's up against, but it's one that he relishes. We relish as a team, and the work that he's putting in, he's doing everything to win that and to cause a massive upset, and that's what it will be. But it's one that secretly we're confident.
When you retired, it was after the fight with John O'Carroll, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the last one. Did you know immediately you wanted to go straight into training, or did you want to take some time out? Because you were so dedicated during your career, you didn't always seem to enjoy the outside the gym and outside the ring elements.
Yeah, no. So going to that point, like the way if someone said to me, "Did you enjoy your career?" I'd go, "No," and they'd look at me and what do you mean? I didn't enjoy it, but I weren't sad either. I become emotionless. Do you know? I had a vision. I had a goal to be a world champion, and that's all that mattered. Do you know? So whether I wanted to do something, whether I didn't want to do something, do you know, he wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go swimming. Let me tell you, swimming's one of the hardest things that we used to do in training and in camp. And it was Tuesday, Thursday morning. I'd be up at 5, and I'd be in the pool for 20 past 5, and it was the hardest thing that I did. Nobody wants to get up and do that. Then come back home, go to bed, in the gym for 11 o'clock, doing a circuit, back home, back to bed, and then on the running track at 6 o'clock at night. That's not enjoyable. Let me tell you now, it's not enjoyable. But it's something that, and this is what I say to people, that it's okay doing the things that need to be done when you want to do them, but it's can you do those things when you don't want to do them, but they need to be done. And that's where it comes to success. Isn't, you don't get success by doing the things that you need to do when you feel like doing them. You get success by doing the things that need to be done, whether you feel like doing them or you don't feel like doing them. And that's where, over the years, it was strange because I was able to, I become emotionless, and I had no emotion. What I needed to do, I just got on with what needs to be done. That was my week. Sunday, I'd plan on my week, and that's what I'd do. There'd be no deviating. There'd be no anything. What I needed to do, that's what I'd do. And that's how I achieved what I achieved. I wasn't the most naturally talented. I was talented, but I was gifted with a desire and a work ethic and a will that wouldn't be broke.
When you look back now, how hard it was, but what you achieved, was it worth it? Would you do it all over again?
No. Yeah, because I achieved what I set out to achieve. But when I actually finally retired after the John O fight, and I mean, listen, I knew before that the training for that fight, I was as fit as a fiddle. Yeah, nobody works harder than me, so I was fit. I don't think I won one spar. I don't think I won one spar, but I still had 110% belief I was gonna pull it together on the night. And when you know, and I remember, and I've never actually said this, is the first time I've ever said this. I've said it to close people. I said, but when I was about to make my entrance and I was stood behind the curtain, I didn't have a clue what Scott Quigg was going to turn up in that ring. Just knowing how, the training had gone. Like I said, the training, I was fit, I was working hard and everything like that, but I don't think I won one spar. And just things weren't coming together like they used to come together. Towards the end of the camp, listen, you put anybody in there with me, I was knocking them from pillar to post. But I don't think I won one spar. And I remember, just as I'm about to make my entrance and I'm stood behind the curtain, and I'm actually thinking, I haven't got a fucking clue.
Were you confident going into that fight?
I was confident thinking it might take me 4 or 5 rounds, but I'll get there and I'll catch him. But at the same time, I didn't have a clue what Scott Quigg was going to turn up in that ring, because if it was the Scott that had been in the gym where I just couldn't get to grips with it, I thought it could be a long night. But I still had the belief I'd find a way.
Why do you think that was, that you couldn't get to grips with it?
It was just, I think, for the time I had out the ring, I think it was 16, 17 months and since I'd last fought. Also 2019, I had 2 camps, but I had 2 bad injuries on my arm. It was just the time out the ring, and I just also, there was a lot going on as well. In my life as well. And even though when I go into training, I'm fully focused and nothing else matters, so I do block it all out. But there was a lot going on, the 2 injuries, and it was just, I think that I grew old overnight. What I mean by that, it weren't overnight, but I grew on that night when I thought I grew old overnight. But being out the ring for that long and the 2 camps I had and everything that was going on around me at the time, it just aged me, and I just didn't have the snap. I just didn't have that spark. It weren't that I didn't have the snap or anything. I just didn't have that spark, and it was a sad day because I don't get emotional. But in the ring afterwards, do you know, I was emotional because I just thought, nah, it's over now, John, and there's no going back.
Did you go crazy after retirement? I can't imagine you did, but you never know. By that I mean, you know, spending loads of money, enjoying the life a bit more.
No, it will, because obviously COVID pretty much hit straight away after that.
A bit unlucky there, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was not, because I was planning on moving out to LA. I built a green card, also I was going to go over and process that, and I was thinking about moving out of there. And obviously COVID hit, so that scuppered plans with that. So then I just, like I say, I was still in the gym with Joe training. I had a couple of fighters that I was training myself. I was training a Slovenian girl called Tanya. He was a very good fighter, and I did a bit of work with an Austrian lad who's now over in LA. So I went into the coaching side of things pretty much straight away to keep myself occupied more than anything as well. But the only thing with that was I didn't give myself the time to process the big change that had happened. Like, actually, no, that's it now. Your career's finished. You need to understand now. You need to find a new purpose in life. And through not doing that, slowly but surely, obviously, I weren't training myself, and the fighters were living with me. And I ended up going up to nearly 13.5 stone.
Really?
And I mean, that's with a t-shirt on. I looked alright. I mean, I looked like a little tank. But I mean, I remember just thinking, I need to think. So in the end, both of the fighters went back because I think the lockdown was getting even stricter then as well. And it was just a bit of a process, and I ended up going out to Dubai for 4 months. I just went out there to train and just get myself back in a good place. I think I went out there just over 13 stone, and when I come back I was 9 stone 10.
Wow. So
it was a trip worthwhile, and then from that point on I've going over there, when I obviously had got myself back to a level where I was thinking clear, thinking straight, I could then process, actually, no, I need to find something now. I'm thinking on a clear level. I'm not just irrationally thinking and just doing this just to keep my mind occupied. So I sat there and went through everything, and now, like I say, I'm in a very good place. I couldn't be, and I'm glad I went through that period, because that grew me as a person as well. Because that was a dark place where I was at that point.
How did you come out of that place? Was it just a realisation within yourself? Did you have help? What pulled you out?
myself more than anything. Obviously, my mum's my best friend. Do you know, so like I say, me and my mum are like that. But no, it was because I also know what throughout my career, when you have your ups and your downs, you know what works for you. You know what you. I always knew what I needed to do to get myself out of that. But when you're that much overweight and you're eating that sort of food and you think your mind's all frosted, you can't think clear, and you just, what's the point? And then it's just that cycle. And unless you break that cycle, and you've got to go through, I always say you got to go through a 2-3 week uncomfortable period where you've got to stick to something, even though you don't want to. You got to stick to it, and you'll slowly break the back of it, and then start to build some momentum. And it was, like I said, the amount of times I started to get myself back right, and after a week and a half, fuck this, and obviously I turned to food. Yeah, it's a good job I don't drink. Yeah, obviously I've only had a drink 3 times. The last time I had a drink was when I was 17. And it's a good, because if I would have been a drinker, then it could have been a deeper hole that I was in. But like I say, I wouldn't change anything, because the person I look at in the mirror today and looking back at me is a stronger person, and I've grown as a person so much. And I'll deal with things totally different now.
Now, we're going to hear a lot more from Scott as we go on, but this week's topic is There's Only One Ricky Hatton, a chant that we've heard reverberating around arenas for a long time now, and we will hear it again, I would imagine, this Saturday as he takes on an exhibition fight with another legend in Marco Antonio Barrera, and that's at the end of a boxer show that precedes it.
Are they putting him at the end?
Well, I think it's the boxer show first, then
Yeah.
the Hatton show afterwards. I think that's kind of how it's set up, even though it's in the same arena on the same night.
Interesting.
And Sky will be showing it as well,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, just, I guess, first of all, tell us, Scott, what Ricky Hatton's meant to you throughout your life, because you grew up kind of looking up to him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I was growing up, Ricky Hatton was one of the fighters I looked up to. The amount of fights that I went and watched him, and when you've got someone who you look up to, you think, I want to be like him one day. So it gives you that as a kid growing up. And I remember, like I say, I remember going to the arena many times, watching him when he beat Costa Zoo in the atmosphere, and that's what they was the sort of nights. Obviously, when you wear the atmosphere and you see, wow, I want some of this. And even at that time, when obviously I wanted to, be a world champion and I wanted to be a boxer and all that, it was still a far. It was just a vision more than anything on what you're saying. So it's still a long way. So I'd not even put a pair of boxing gloves on then for boxing. I was Thai boxing at the time. But them are the sort of nights that, like I say, when he fought Costa Zoo, the atmosphere, that's what give me the buzz about boxing. Obviously when I was younger, you'd watch Nazim on Tyson and all them. My mum and dad would let me stay up and watch them late at night, early hours in the morning. But it was Rick that really. Well, he's from Manchester. If he can do it, I can do it. And you start making those comparisons. Where why can't I do it if he's done it? And like I say, it just gave me the buzz for it. And then obviously I was lucky to be promoted by him, doing a bit of training with him at times, and obviously spent a lot of time in his company as well. Obviously because his agent Paul Speed, and I was close friends with him. He did work for me, so I was in and around Rick a lot. So I seen obviously how he'd train and stuff like that. So it was, I was fortunate to be around him and learn from him as well. Did a bit of training with him. So it's something that and saying that, actually, one of my breakout performances was on the undercard of his last fight against Shevchenko. Yeah, because I stopped Rendell Monroe in 6 rounds on that card. So, like I said, Rick and boxing and stuff like I had some memorable nights.
Do you think you'd come back in like 15, 20 years in an exhibition fight?
I mean, to be fair, I'd in 15, 20 years, I think I'd still be in decent shape.
Yeah, you'd still be up for it.
I mean,
look at your smile. He's like, oh.
Listen, I'd like to. I mean, some of these YouTubers now. Listen, I'm available.
I was thinking Quigg versus Frampton 2, maybe at like 50 years old each, something like that.
Listen, he's enjoying his life now.
So are you?
What do you call it? Because I was out in Ireland not so long ago. I said not so long ago. Maybe 6 months ago. I seen him out in Ireland, and he seems in a good place, you know. And like I say, people used to think, obviously there was needle at the time between us, because obviously we were both growing up at the same time, and that rivalry is what builds that sort of fight. Not only that, it made us both very well for that rivalry that we had. It was good that we was both around at the same time. And like I say, other than if it weren't for boxing, there would never have been any bad blood or anything like that. Like I say, I have a lot of respect for him, what he went on to do after he fought me, beating Santa Cruz, and he had an amazing career as well. So like I say, every credit to him.
Good stuff. Now we're going to hear a lot more about Ricky Hatton and also about exhibition fights in general. But first of all, Josh Green is not particularly well this week, so he will not be doing the green room. Unfortunately, he should be back for the next episode. But we've got a new addition to the Seconds Out team, Ayman Khan, who's offered to step in valiantly at short notice with Can't Stop, Won't Stop, talking about Ricky Hatton's greatest nights. So we go over to Ayman.
Hello and welcome back to, well, it's not Josh Green in the green room this week. My name is Ayman Khan and I'm keeping this seat warm for Josh whilst he's under the weather. So without any further ado, I can't stop and I won't stop until I've brought to you the 5 best nights in Ricky Hatton's career as we approach his exhibition bout with boxing great Marco Antonio Barrera. Jumping in at number 5 on this list, we are in 2008. Hatton had left longtime trainer Billy Graham in a fallout that would take years to mend. Ricky had joined forces with Floyd Mayweather Sr. in a bid to reignite his career after his first loss to the great Floyd Mayweather Jr. the year before. This time, Paulie Malignaggi stood in the opposite corner. The Magic Man was looking to put Hatton under his spell and take away the Mancunian's IBO super lightweight title back to America with him. The media had thrown a slew of doubts the way of Hatton. Ricky's stock was falling rapidly and whispers of the Brit being past his prime had become louder after a lackluster comeback win over Juan Lazcano. Hatton, however, was vintage. Coming out in a fat suit, the self-deprecating star still had his strong wit despite his troubles in and out the ring. There were no troubles on the night. Whilst Malignaggi was slick on the stick, Hatton dominated Paulie for 10 full rounds, forcing trainer Buddy McGirt to throw in the towel just shy of 30 seconds into the 11th round. In at the 4th spot, it's John Thaxton. As we moved into a new millennium, Ricky Hatton looked to cap off an active year 2000 for himself by capturing the British super lightweight title. The rising star looked to move past the experienced John Thaxton. Ricky hadn't truly faced adversity so far in his career. All previous 21 bouts had thus far resulted in finishes inside the distance in all but 4 of them. But this was the test. It was a brutal encounter between both men who punched lumps out of each other for 12 full rounds. Thaxton having success immediately in the first few exchanges, causing a terrible cut over the left eye of the 22-year-old starlet. A serious problem posed for the Hatton corner as cutman Mick Williamson was put straight to work. By the 3rd round, Hatton had returned the favour, causing a cut to Thaxton which further soaked the 2 combatants in blood. Ricky would eventually capture the British title on points. Ricky also gained a lifelong friend as the 2 gladiators bonded over their battle in the medics room as they both had their war wounds stitched back together. That is truly a story only boxing could write. In at number 3, it's Ricky Hatton versus Eamon McGee. This was a fight where Ricky Hatton stated himself made him the superstar that he eventually became. There's a saying that superstars are born, but in boxing they're forged within the ring through combat. And on this night, it wasn't an easy night as Hatton hit the canvas for the first time in his career. The Brit leaped in, looking to land something huge, and instead found himself on the end of the southpaw's sublime right hook in the first round. After McGee had successfully weaved his way into Hatton's mind with mental gymnastics in the build-up, the Irish native now firmly had the upper hand. McGee aimed to goad Hatton into the same shot, looking to put a halt to the Hatton Express. But McGee's hand would not be raised. Ricky would not be denied. Rising off the canvas, the Mancunian navigated his way through the 12 rounds to retain his WBU World Super Lightweight title. It was lift-off for Hatton. Settling in for second place is Hatton versus Jose Luis Castillo. Whilst the great Floyd Mayweather struggled twice to overcome the challenge of the Mexican with dynamite in his hands, 10,000 British fans stormed the Thomas & Mack Centre in Las Vegas, a Mancunian away day with a glorious ending. Relentless pressure from Hatton from the opening bell. Castillo couldn't keep Ricky off of him. Not even the low blows could stop the Brit. It was all soon over. Another of Hatton's hooks finished the job. Left hook to the kidney, and Joe Cortez counted out Castillo. The first count out of his career. The Mexican felt the sharp end of the punishment he was known for dishing out all too readily. After the dust had settled, Hatton's mean demeanour dissipated as he proudly announced, "I think I've definitely proved the fat man is back." Undoubtedly, in at number 1, it's Hatton and Tszyu. June 5th, 2005 was the day that the blue moon shone brightest, where Ricky Hatton cemented his legacy by beating overwhelming favourite and reigning IBF super lightweight champion Kostya Tszyu and gave birth to a new generation of boxing fans. Setting a patented, breathtaking pace, Hatton smothered Tszyu's attack and unleashed his trademark body onslaught to rock his opponent. Frank Warren's roll of the dice for Hatton was coming up a winner, with the stars aligning not only for Hatton but at ringside also, where Diego Corrales, Jeff Lacey, Russell Crowe were all in attendance. They watched on as an unrelenting Hatton would eventually pound the resistance out of the Australian, as Kostya Tszyu wouldn't return for the 12th and final round. The MEN arena erupted as one of their own was crowned IBF Super Lightweight Champion. And that's it. Those are our 5 of Ricky Hatton's greatest nights, but let us know what are yours. Sound off in the comments below. That's all from me, Eamon Khan, and back to you, Danny.
And Georgia.
Yes.
I did
thank
notice
you.
that when I saw the cut, but I didn't want to make him do the whole thing again just to add your name. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
It's alright, I won't hold it against him.
Yeah, or me. Hatton Barrera would have been kind of unthinkable in their primes, I guess, because of the difference in weights, but I'm guessing there's been a bit of catching up there. Scott, you were saying off camera there was a period where Barrera came over here post-retirement, and you moved around with him.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm sure it was around about 2012. I think it was. He was over at Kevin Marie's gym over in. I think it was Clone. I think.
Yeah, it is in Cone.
Yeah, Cone. It was over there, and he it was Joe that said, "Oh, chance to move around with Barrera." So I think I went over and I did 2 or 3 rounds with him. I think I did 3 rounds with him, and just at that time, just to be moving around with, a legend. What I would say anyway, especially the lower weights, just to be moving around with it, because at the time you're watching him on telly when you see the Barrera, the Morales fights when he fought Nazim, and then all of a sudden you're in the ring with him. And even still, through, because I used to study him as well, just to pick things up and learn things.
Sure.
And even then, just sparring and moving around, he was doing this, trying certain moves and doing things, and I'm thinking, I've seen him do this on TV. This is what he's going to do, and this, and it was just a bit surreal at the time, moving around with him. And don't get me wrong, I tried landing a few just to try and prove a point. But then if you did catch him, you know, because he put manners back on you. But yeah, to be, like I said, I had the chance to move around with him, and it's something that, like I say, I'm very grateful for that.
think Paul Butler's a big fan of his as well, isn't he? Like, he's got the same nickname and stuff.
Yeah. He was. I mean, I used to do. Obviously, Brian Hughes, my first professional trainer. I couldn't have had a better start in boxing from him, and he used to give me tapes of the old fighters, and he'd give me, watch this, watch how he does this, and he'd know if I'd watched it because I'd come back in the gym, and he'd be asking me to do certain things, and he knew, and that's why he used to always keep feeding me tapes, because he knew that I was, say, a student of the game, because I just wanted to learn and just keep learning, and I'd study and watch tape after tape after tape, and that's where I got a lot of my education from. Do you know, it's all right being told to do something, or like you might be told to do a combination or do this move, and you can do it, but then you got to understand why you're doing it, when you're doing it, and how to do it. Do you know, and when you're watching it done in real time, when you're watching other fighters do it, then you can understand that's why you're doing it. So then, when you then go back into the gym, and this was when I was still with Brian, he'd be putting us in scenarios where, to see if we've been watching, and to see if I'd been watching them, to see if they was coming out and stuff like that. And some of the fighters like I used to watch, and my favourite fight was Wilfredo Gomez. I just used to watch for hours and hours and hours the same fight over and over again, and that's where I educated myself, and got so much of the understanding on how to receive information and then apply it, and understand what to look for. And that was something that, okay, I was educated by Brian, as in, he told me what to go and watch for, go and do it. But then it was for me to carry on doing that and implement it throughout my career. And that's why I believe I become as good as I did through doing that, because like I said, I wasn't the most naturally talented.
Do you do that with yours and Joe's fighters now? Do you suggest people they should watch and stuff?
Yeah, because that's the best way to learn. And it shows me anyway, and Joe said the same, it showed him as well, that how much they really want it. Are they going to go and watch it? Are they going to go and just say, oh yeah, I'll watch this now? Okay, you come in the gym next day and you get them, you know straight away whether they've watched it. You can ask them a question, and then you know whether it's a blank answer.
Yeah.
And so then you understand. Then you get an understanding of your fighter as well, where you're, okay, I need to do more work with him on this time, because he's not doing this when in this time, so we need to try and do this. And so you get it where then these others, like Paul Butler, you get him to go and watch someone, you tell him to watch this, watch that, he'll come in and I'll be speaking with him as we're going through the pads, and we're doing all that, and we're having a communication, we're on the same page, because he's watching what I'm watching, and then it gels, so then everything's coming together. Where sometimes someone who's not that interested and not that going doing their own work as such, you come in and it's like, can be quite frustrating. And that was the thing with me, Joe, when I was going into training fighters and stuff. If I felt like, because I know where I train, I know how hard it is to get to the top. Joe, and you can give it 110% and still not make it. Joe, there's no guarantee, but unless you're giving at least 110%, you ain't gonna make it. So when you've got fighters that are cutting corners and they're not giving it their all, I just think there's a lot easier ways to make a living than, because it doesn't matter, unless you get to the top, you ain't making money in boxing.
Is that quite frustrating for you though, that people do cut corners and they're kind of a bit like half-assed in it?
Yeah, because of the way I trained and the way I was, like, if anything, you had to chase me at the gym. So then when I do see that, and I go, what are you doing?
Is it just a case of some people have it and some people just don't?
Yeah, because you can't teach it. It's either in you or it's not.
Yeah.
That's one ingredient that you can't teach. Okay, so some people are motivated by different things, so they might give it everything just because that motivation there, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, whatever motivates them. You take that away, then if you can't just do something when you're motivated, because motivation is not always there. Do you think I was motivated? I was talking before. Do you think I was motivated to get up and go swimming in the morning? Like I said, be swimming at 20 past 5 in the morning. No, I wasn't motivated. It was horrendous. I hated it. I wanted to, at the time, I'm thinking, I wanted to smash Joel's head in. Because if I'm swimming slow, he's shouting, and I'm thinking, go get in there. But that's what drove me. I would thrive off that. You know, if someone said I couldn't do something, I'd think, I'll fucking show you. I can.
Was Joe there with you at 5 a.m?
Oh yeah, and this is and I couldn't have any more. I couldn't respect Joe anymore. Do you know, I hold him up there because the time and the effort that he put in, and that he puts into his fighters still, you know, he's unheard of. You know, he matched my effort that I put in. You know, and then I think and then I try and do more, and he matched it again, and that's where the respect I have for him, and that was, Joe, for instance, because people. So obviously I had my career there, and then after after the Frampton fight, I had one more fight with him.
Yeah.
For Cayetano, I had a win, good performance, and I was going out to America just for, I just went out there for 3 or 4 weeks in start of 2017, just for a bit of a training camp. And he said to me, why don't you? Did you like it out there? Why don't you speak to Freddie and see if, you know, he'll train just for a bit of a change? And I thought, I might. I said, and we had a conversation, and that's what me and him, Joe. A lot of people when they change trainers, they fall out. Yeah, Joe, there's a bit of bad blood. Never any bad blood. Hey, we've had during my career, during the times I trained with him, we had some blazing rounds, but because we was winners, and that's what it, you know, that's what it takes, Joe. When you both want to be the best, and the pressure is building. But once we have an argument, that's it. Shake hands, that's it. Right, on to the next one. So, but it was him that said, "Oh, why don't you think about going out there to America and seeing if Freddie will work with you, and just for a bit of a change." And at that time, it was needed, and it's probably the best thing that I did at that time, because I might have had one more fight, and I might have actually packed it in after that. Obviously, being out in America training with Freddie, loved every minute of it. You know, getting obviously training with him, and it weren't like I learnt anything new or he improved me in any major way. It was more of the tools that I had and that I'd learnt over the years. He just showed me a different way how to use them, and, you know, just a few little different things, and it just gave me a bit of just refreshed me a bit. And then obviously training alongside Cotto and some of the other fighters out there, it was something that, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed. It was just a shame that year in 2019, where I had the 2 bad injuries on my arm, it's just a shame that happened, because that put a bit of a dampener on the time over there. Because when my arm first went, it was 2 weeks before I was supposed to fight in April,
Jason Velez, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's probably
Who
one-
recently got chinned.
Right, he
last
did.
weekend, I think. Yeah.
He did you off.
Tito Mercado, who's like rising prospect.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best training camps I'd had. I was absolutely flying, and it was when my arm went, I was actually Lewis Neary.
Yeah.
Very good, lighter than me, but very good.
It's like WBC bantamweight.
Yeah,
champion,
very
wasn't
good fighter. And I remember, he was banjoing everybody in the gym. he was, and then he was, and then Freddie said, "I want you to spar with him because he's done his banjo, and I just want him to know that he can't do that with everyone." And I'm thinking, must have some confidence in me there because I'd seen him, and we sparred about 3 or 4 times, and honestly, the spars was they was great spars, you know, good technical, and actually, to be fair, we gave him as good as he got, and then it was the last time I sparred with him, I was starting to, I was getting sharper, and I was actually giving him a bit of an eye in this one, and I hit him with a left hook, and then I just felt a big rip down my arm. And I thought, no, that didn't feel right. So then I did another round. I said, listen, I can't lift my arm up. But yeah, if I would have, whoever that camp there, if I would have managed to, because if I would have beat Velez at that time, I would have got a world title shot after that. And it was just a shame that didn't happen. And then obviously, then it went again when I was training for the John O fight, where it was supposed to be in Saudi. And like I say, I think at the time when I come back and I was training for my last one, that spark had gone, if you know what I mean. It was just, but like I say, I don't regret anything in my career. And like I say, all the trainers that I train with, being out in America, some of the experiences I've had, some of the people I've met, you know, it was some journey.
Great stuff. Now, we could hear from Ricky Hatton ahead of his exhibition fight with Barrera, and also from his son Campbell, who's got an interesting perspective on the fight himself.
Everyone was depressed. You know, people were struggling with the mental health because of the lockdown and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, the phone went, and this gentleman said, "Listen, Ricky, it's been a depressing time for the nation, you know, and everybody. What with mental health being through the roof, you know, and I know you've suffered with mental health, and what with the lockdown and everything like that. It's, you know, what would you feel like doing an exhibition bout at the Manchester Arena, like one last dance for Ricky Hatton?" You know, to raise awareness of mental health, you know, so. And to be honest, my cousin Stephen hung himself for, suffered from mental health, and he hung himself 4 weeks into lockdown. So I jumped at the chance, and I said, "Who are you thinking of doing it with?" They went, "Marco Antonio Barrera." I said, "Oh, lovely." I said, "He's my friend." I said, he's a legend. You know how good he is, but at least I'm going to get to see how good he is firsthand now by sharing the ring with him. And I think getting my weight off and getting, you know, get my mind right and giving myself a goal, something to aim for, I think could inspire people as well, which it has done. So even though it got postponed and it's got put back, the fact that I've still kept in shape and kept my weight off, I think has inspired a lot of people with mental health and weight problems. So it's it got postponed, but I think postponed for the better.
Do you think you said yes to it because it was Barrera, or would you have taken it with someone else as well?
And I'd probably have to look at it a little bit more if it was someone other than Marco Antonio Barrera, because Marco's my friend, he has been forever, and even though, you know, it's an exhibition fight, me and Marco would rather die than people walk away from that arena going, wasn't that boring, wasn't that a waste of time? So, I mean, we know we've got to make it exciting to the fans, otherwise, you know, we're going to get slated. And to be honest with you, you know, I can't see it being anything other. I said it'd be one of them where me and Marco will go like the clappers. We'll make it really entertaining, but we know what's enough and what's too much. Do you know what I mean? There are no liberties taken and that. You know, it's like when you spar. you know, in training camp, you go for it with your sparring partners, but then if you clip one that was a little bit too heavy than normal, and that, then you ease off, and I think there's more chance of that happening because I know Marco rather than be with someone I'd have just met for the first time. You know, if it's someone that it was a stranger that cracked me, and I probably want to crack him back twice as hard, to be honest. But with Marco, there's going to be a respect there between us because we know each other.
Yeah, it's been crazy really because obviously he's been preparing for his exhibition with Barrera, and we've been able to like train alongside each other and get a few rounds in, and it's a bit of a mad experience giving your dad a crack, but it's one that I thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah. Oh yeah, I took a good few. It was it was good. You could have done the sparring in a phone box, and it was my granddad came down and watched it, and obviously Matt did the corner, so it was a bit of a crazy day for all the family, but. Yeah, he's looking really good. He's got himself back fit and healthy, and long may it continue.
Well, there you go. Campbell, I was saying to Scott just now, because Scott had said on the train, this is a good opportunity for people who didn't see the Ricky Hatton era to get to see him in action and just what kind of impact he had. And that's what Campbell was saying after the fight on Saturday night in Abu Dhabi, which he won with a trademark left hook to the liver, funnily enough. He said, all systems go for my dad now, you know, it gives me a chance to see him because I never got the chance the first time around. So that's kind of nice.
Do we know what the rules are in that fight, like exhibitions? Because I know some exhibitions have different, like, yes and no's.
Is it 8-2s?
I think so,
yeah. 8-2s. But then it's one of them, and it's...
Are they allowed to knock each other out or not?
No one's getting knocked out.
But I do think... Obviously, them both being boxing at the top level, they'll still have that competitive edge.
Yeah.
Do you know? So if one of them feels like they're getting, as soon as one of them catches one, then the other one's going to go back, and then it's just, yeah. I think, but then to be fair, I think Barrera's will still have that bit of a nasty streak about him, and it'll be entertaining anyway.
But there's no kind of like set. Yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that.
Well, there will be,
So
but
is
not
it
that's been
Edgar?
publicised.
Yeah,
I mean.
right.
Are they wearing head guards, or is it?
No, they can't be wearing
No,
head guards,
that's what I'm going
yeah,
to say.
I
It's just going to
would've
be bigger gloves in it and stuff like that.
Because I think they'd want them to be recognisable, wouldn't they? Because that's
Yeah.
part of the appeal. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I think it'll be a really good
I
night.
think it'd be fun. Yeah.
But just talking off camera, then what we're doing, like it gives the. Like I was fortunate enough to see him, in his heyday, and it's giving the youngsters coming through that had missed the time of that, and it'll give them people who turn up to the arena or tune in on telly. It'll give them a bit of and it'll only be a small bit, but a bit of the atmosphere that it used to generate, and the excitement, and it just gives them to see him in the flesh as well. See him, obviously to me it's not a fight because but it's some sort of fight where people will be able to see him in action a bit that didn't get the chance because obviously it was before their time. But no, I think it's good for the sport.
I think exhibitions generally are quite a good thing because it prevents maybe some veterans coming back when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like in proper fights against young, fresh, hungry opponents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen that, haven't we, in the past where...
Well, Ricky against Senchenko is one example, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but don't get me wrong, though. I think he would just... he still had a bit left, Rick, Joe.
Yeah.
But then you could say... I think Rick was a bit at the same stage of... Well, I was a bit fresher than him in my last one. But what I mean is it's similar sort of thing. Is it there? Is it not? In training, I know when he was training for that, things weren't happening. So you try, but you think, oh no, I'll be able to get it. So I think it's a similar sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I was obviously a bit fresher than Rick was at the time, but it's that but I needed that last one to be able to walk away at peace. Because if I would have walked away before that, I would have been, could I have, and I probably would have ended up having longer at the ring and then trying to come back later on and being even worse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but also it gives them, these exhibitions are good because it also, it's give him a purpose again to give him something to focus on. He's got himself back in very, very good shape. It's helped him in that way. So listen, if it's kept in a controlled manner and it doesn't get stupid, then I'm all for it.
Great. Well, we will hear what our fans or viewers, listeners, all of the above, have to say about exhibition fights. Georgia's got the...
See, I think this one's a bit... It's difficult because it depends on what context the exhibition is.
Okay.
So whether, say, like, you say it's good for boxing, but do you think that Mayweather-Deji is good for boxing?
So
There's a
this is
distinction, yeah.
this is where I got Joel, for instance. You've got Rick and Barrera, two icons of the sport.
Yeah.
People want... It's a bit of a fantasy matchup as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? You'd never think they was going to be in the same ring. And so for that, who are boxers, it's good.
Yeah.
But then, as you say, Mayweather against Deji, what's he called? Deji.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Deji. Is that good?
It's like both sides of the coin, isn't it?
It's not good for boxing in a boxing sense, but it is in one sense where it'll bring a totally different audience of eyes to the sport.
Yeah.
So you've got to work. Does it balance out? And in that sense, it does. It's the same with these YouTubers. The eyes that it's bringing to the sport of boxing, it's bringing a whole different audience and a big audience. But then you've seen some of the who was it? One of the basketball players who he got absolutely
we were talking
poleaxed.
by Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got poleaxed and just went face first in. And I'm thinking, that's not good because it's a danger, and that just shows how dangerous the sport can be. Do you know, if you're not prepared right.
Definitely. So I think when asking this question, I didn't specify, I just said, do you think exhibitions are good or bad? Let people make their own mind up. 31% said good for boxing. 69% said bad for boxing. Kean Tech Thomas said, as well as we treat them... This does not make sense, Kean. As long as... I think he meant to say, as long as we treat... I know, but he said, as well as we treat them as... I think he meant to say, as long as we treat them as an exhibition and not anything else, then they're good. Chelsea Estelle has said, they're good for the individual. It's therapy. Everybody should be welcome to therapy. Uni has said, they've been happening for years. Doesn't harm the sport. Carwin Herbert has said, may need more context. These happen all the time in amateurs, which I agree with. Louis Beneviti has said, depends on the fighters. Floyd has had his 50-0 fight as an exhibition. He's killing them. I want to know how much money he's getting paid for that. And also seeing him in York Hall threw me. I was like, I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe.
Where's that fight happening?
It's in
Abroad?
Dubai.
Is it?
Oh, so someone coming flew over here then to then.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure why they had a press conference here, but
yeah, that's why I was.
maybe because Deji's from here and it's
Why is that
on
Deji
UK
big?
TV and stuff.
Was that Deji big?
I suppose as a
don't-
like YouTuber.
I don't watch
He's-
YouTube, so I don't know.
He's KSI's brother, and I suppose KSI is
Okay,
big, isn't
big.
he? So
And then Kyle Scrivener said, the promoters will wash their hands of all fault when somebody gets seriously hurt. So I think when he's saying that, he's thinking kind of like YouTube,
Yeah.
boxing mind. But yeah, kind of like a big...
I want to make a
different
pitch for
opinions.
Ricky Hatton against Joey Essex. I quite fancy that.
I really like Joey Essex.
As you can tell, I don't. So.
Why?
I don't know, he's just annoying, isn't he? No?
Gosh.
So surely you'd want him in with an active fighter then.
Oh yeah, but that's not going to happen, is it? You know, I was just saying, if we're doing exhibitions with ex-fighters,
Well, I'm retired, so
you're more than welcome, mate. I'm not offering to put the money up, just to be clear. Just saying. It's fantasy booking, that's all. Not only have our viewers told us what they think of exhibitions, they've also been forthcoming with some questions for Mr. Scott Quigg. So I will have a look now. Are you ready for this, Scott?
But I'm ready.
Born ready. All right, let's have a look. Screenshots. Here we
Who's
go.
your ultimate exhibition fight you'd want to see?
Caught me off guard though.
If you could have anyone
Do you mean to watch or him to be in?
to watch.
To watch. Let me come.
Yeah,
come
that's
back
fine.
to me.
Yeah, let's come back to it at the end. Right, Adam Newman says, do you have any regrets from the Frampton fight? You started slow and came on strong. Was that tactics or was it Carl's ability that dictated that strategy?
Tactics. Do I have any regrets? I don't regret anything. Would I change something? Yeah, I'll change, obviously. But at the time, if somebody, and obviously I'll probably get some shite for saying what I'm going to say in a minute, but I'm just speaking honest. The Frampton fight, like I say, every credit to him, he boxed well, he got the win. But if someone said, what was your easiest fight, or one of, I didn't find that a tough fight at all. It was the tactics. I didn't feel under pressure at any point. We just got the tactics wrong. When he was, obviously I was on the back foot more, wasn't getting it, and it was just I just started coming on too late. The actual what they call the stats, the copy, but whatever, the punch stats. I actually landed more shots than him. But when I do watch it back, now I give it in by 2 rounds, just because now even though I'm on the back foot, but I wasn't in any danger. Obviously it broke my jaw, but like I say, I just got the tactics wrong.
Which is what you didn't start early.
If I would have applied the pressure early, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have. You couldn't. I could just steam at him recklessly because you just walk onto someone. Any, he could carry. When he times his shots, he could punch hard. But in hindsight, if I had the chance again, I would have started a lot quicker, and I do believe it would have been a different result. But like I say, I'm not bitter and anything like that. I watched the fight back, and now he deserved to win it.
Now, there's one here from James Next Level who's not too subtly included quite a bit of subtext in this. I think you'll probably discern it when I read it. But let's just be a little bit careful how we answer this, given the subject. He says, Scott's fight with Kiko Martinez, how hard of a puncher was he? And your thoughts on his current rich vein of form in the twilight years of his career. How well he must be looking after himself to be making the weight and keeping the conditioning on point. Be good to get Scott's insights on this subject.
Did he punch hard? Yeah, he punched hard, but he never really. I think he landed one jab in the foot. And when he was swinging them looping shots in, you knew he was heavy-handed. But obviously, like I said, when I destroyed him, it wasn't by any fluke. I was speaking to you before on the tube. It went exactly to plan, exactly what we thought we were going to do, and it couldn't have gone to plan any better. At the time, once I obliterated him, everyone said he was finished. And then when you look at, I think he fought Galahad after me. He put Galahad in his ass. He fought the first fight with Warrington. I thought he deserved to get the nod. Obviously, the rematch, Warrington stopped him. He pushed Zelfa. Zelfa got a razor thin victory over him, and like I say, he's still
just
doing now. Just beat Jordan Gill now. He's somebody again that he's kept himself. He's obviously lived a life as well. So he's always been in and around the gyms, and I know that for a fact. And he's kept himself in very good shape.
We're getting more subtext here, look.
He's kept himself in very good shape, and my win just keeps getting better.
We thank James Next Level for that question. I know what you were getting at, but there's only so much we can say without getting sued. So let's move on to Seb Parkinson, who's got a few here. He says, Scott, you train in a gym loaded with past, present and future world champions. Who is the one fighter you've trained with or sparred against that's made you go, fuck me, you're something special, regardless of whether they went on to become a success or not?
I tell you who I used to meet, who I used to do a lot of sparring with, and he never went on. He never become a world champion. He fought for the world title though, and I had some great spars with him, and we brought each other on. And he's probably one of the people that helped me develop as well, from the spars that we used to have. And was Stephen Smith.
Okay.
He was might have shocked you that. As in, like, what I mean, he was a top amateur. He was a very good amateur. But me and Stephen Smith, we used to the spars that we used to have, and we used to train together a lot. And he was the one person that he picked me up on certain things, and we discuss things, and we do loads and loads of rounds. And he's when I say now, again, I've never actually said this, but he's one of the people that I've sparred that one day I get the better of him, then he get the better of me. And it was always competitive sparring, but we'd be bringing each other on. And Stephen Smith's probably the best, one of the best people that helped me improve as much as I did by doing the rounds doing the amount of rounds that I did with him.
All right, I'll limit Seb to 3. I think he's asked quite a lot here, but these are quite good questions, to be fair. He says, you grew up in a very male-dominated era of boxing, but now the females are cementing their place, which I don't think anyone could argue. When women's boxing was first talked about, what was your opinion on it at pro level, and has that opinion changed since you've worked with Natasha?
It did change before I'd obviously worked with Natasha as well. But I remember when I was at Brian Hughes's, so this was years ago, Nicola Adams used to come down sparring. So there used to be a few, they used to bring a few amateurs up and a few pros. Who was, I can't think what the gym was called, what she used to be at. And sometimes she'd come down and we'd do a bit of move around with her as well. So that, how many years ago was that? I was 18, 19 at the time. So since then, obviously the women's boxing was not even really sport. Obviously it was still about, obviously, because you had Jane Couch and you had Joe the others, but as it's developed, and it was more of, I think why a lot of people was say people don't like women don't want to see people females getting bust nose, but they're not supposed to do that. Do you know, that was what the thing was. The perception was, do you know, oh no, you don't want to rip your face. You don't want to end up looking like us ugly men. Or, do you know,
speak for yourself.
But what I mean is, as the time's gone, and the level of female boxing wasn't at a good enough standard, because the pay wasn't. They couldn't do it full time. So as more money's been pumped into it, the females can obviously spend more time in the gym. They can, you know, do it as a profession, and you see the actual level of the fights now, and the level of the, you know, the boxers, and now some of the female fights are better than the male fights. You know, so I'm all for it, and it's good to see the actual development of it. And again, the main thing is the money needed to be put into it, so females could do this as a career and be able to spend the time in the gym, and so they could actually develop as the male fighters were doing. And it's showing in the level of the fights. Obviously, the Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall fight, and then obviously my favourite female fight is, I mean, I'll be a bit biased here, but, well, not biased, but Joe probably have a go at me. But I love Katie Taylor. I think, you know, for what, you know, as a person and what she stands for, and the way she's applied herself, you know, she's my, you know, favourite female fighter. It's now being swayed though. Natasha's my favourite.
Save
no,
yourself.
it's I'm all for female boxing now.
Good stuff. And the last one from Seb, bit of a fun one. He says, in Joe's gym, who is the most vain person, always checking themselves out in the mirror or comparing their abs? Got to grass someone up.
No, I'd say when it was the old squad in there, I would have had to say Crawler. I mean, since I've retired, I've become a bit more vain, but I'm trying to. No, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's not.
No?
Yeah, there's not one that's, you know.
Hosea?
No, Hosea's no.
Heffron?
Efron could be. Yeah.
You see your eyebrows go up and down.
Efron could, but then again, he might beat me up for saying that.
It's time for Scott Quigg to face a very different line of questioning in the hot seat.
So, are you ready to play the worst people in the world?
I am ready.
Okay. The people who drop their gum shields in the gym and put them straight back in their mouths without rinsing it, or the people that don't wash their wraps?
People that don't wash their gum shield.
People who cheat workouts and don't give 100%, or people who spar to injure?
People who cheat the workouts.
People who don't put their weights away in the gym, or people who on the phone the whole gym session?
On the phone.
People who miss the spit bucket in the gym and spit in the ring or on the floor or on anybody else, or people who kiss their dog on the mouth?
Spit in the gym.
Really?
Yeah, I think kiss your dogs on the mouth. That's. I mean,
I'm disappointed in you. People who eat with their mouths open, or people who cough and sneeze on you in public transport?
cough and sneeze. If someone does that, I want to kill them.
People who don't use deodorant and hold their arms up next to your face on public transport, or people who phlegm in the sink?
That's an hard one, that. I'd say phlegm in the sink.
Northerners or Southerners?
What's this again? Which is better or worse?
Worse.
Southerners. I had to clarify that.
And if you could fight anybody in an exhibition bout in 15 years' time, who would it be?
Well, I've got a brain freeze here. I ain't got a clue.
It's
trying to think someone who I don't like.
Well, it's good that you can't think of anybody.
No, I can't actually think. Who don't I like? It's an hard one, this. Danny Flexen.
I enjoyed that. Well, thank you very much. Well done. You passed.
I was struggling there.
Sometimes, though, when you do like quick fire questions, it is quite difficult to process what's just been said. I need a good couple of seconds.
Yeah, no, because I'm trying to think who would I want to batter.
What eventually came to
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Scott, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I would say come back, but we tend to only have one guest one at a time. But we'll have you on the channel again, that's for sure.
Yeah, when you've got your exhibition.
Yeah. Against Joey Essex. But yeah, good luck with Tasha, obviously, at the weekend as well. And yeah, it's been great.
I feel like it's been very inspirational. Not gonna
Yeah?
lie,
You enjoyed it?
Yeah,
You're going to make some lifestyle changes from listening to Scott now?
I might go for a swim at 5 o'clock. You never know.
5:20. Brilliant.
Just got to roll out of bed at 5.
Right. Yeah.
Really appreciate you all watching. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks very much.
Yo, Danny Flexen here. Think you know shit about boxing? There's only one way to find out. Listen to the full podcast via one of the links in the description or go to secondsoutboxing.podbean.com.
You know shit about boxing!